was so great, and I'm so glad that's in the rear view. So there's kind of a blindness that a lot of people have, and I think I was certainly guilty of that. And I think that I think gradually what started to come together for me, in addition to seeing what was happening to Black and brown bodies, was just realizing how much racism was at the root of really all the problems that I was also paying attention to. The national politics, the ways that our country, our foreign policy, like this, just all interwoven. All the problems are connected, and ultimately, if we don't deal with the racism at the root, we can't deal with climate change. We can't deal with all these other things that are affecting us as well. So I think that all came together for me. And I think a big moment for me was honestly connecting with Rob. I had been in Asheville for a number of years, involved with a lot of anti-racist educational kinds of aspirations. I still think it's super important for people to change their minds and open their eyes. But I was feeling frustrated that people were just having these conversations, and learning, and reading books, and it's like, man, there's some like messed up policies we got to start addressing. And I was looking for like, is there a way for white people to get involved with changing policy, with changing the way things are done? And and a conversation with Rob, I was like, hey, could you use a bunch of white people to you tell us where we should go push against the system. I'll rally the white people to come and do it. He was like, yeah, I can use some white people. So I was like, cool, let's do it. So we started working together. And 2020 was unbelievably crazy year, obviously. And suddenly in Asheville, you had more Black Lives Matter signs than I think we have Black people in Asheville. I mean, it was just like everybody suddenly is like waking up and like, oh, we got to do something. And so we tried to really harness that energy while we had it to put some things in place, which are still playing out. So, yeah.
The feed on what Rob said earlier about how there was a lot of white people involved earlier. I remember the Black Lives Matter protest when I was speaking at the monument. I seen a lot of white people, and I was like, wow. Yeah. And I was talking. I was going to say something else, but when I seen so many white people, I was like, damn. I was just blown away. And then the next night, when everyone went up to the police station that night, when all that stuff, I went out there and got into the police face. And I looked around, I still seen a lot of white people, and I was like, oh shit. And that just pumped me up. Like, that's when I got in the police face, like, what you gonna do? It's like the crowd was pumping me up. They was like, and I was like, hell yeah, I got the white people behind me. And that's why I didn't care. I was like, I think these cops gonna hit me in the head. Even when I was on the bridge, when they shot me with the gas can, I seen all those white people behind me. I was like, I don't care. At that point, I was at the point right then where I was like, if they're gonna kill me on this bridge, so be it. I know I got an army of people right behind me who's gonna be like, nah, this ain't going down. I was like, hell yeah.
So you was there when they tear gassed the bridge?
Dude, I'm the one that got hit in the face. I was the one that got hit in the face. That was me.
I was right there. You look. I remember that. Yes, I remember.
I was standing in their face, and it was like, y'all better get back. I said, nah. And they said, boom. I was like, oh, and I picked it up and I threw it back at him.
So like, nah, you worked with us too, because we had these paralegals set up that was taking, reports from people who had received
but see, I didn't
excessive
know
force.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but I didn't know you. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Read your report. I was reading that too, like in your report. Like how?
Yeah, and see, when I saw you on Facebook like a month ago, I was like, that guy's in Asheville. And I didn't know the whole time we was in the same city. You was doing your thing. I kept hearing your name, but I didn't know it was you until you dropped one of them posts that pissed some people off. And I'm like, yeah.
Hey, it's like people feel like the truth is insulting. Like the truth is an insult these days, man.
They don't want to hear the truth.
Hide it.
They don't want to hear
you can't say that. They an elder. You can't say that.
Dude,
I'll be like,
I'm 59 years old, man. Like I said before.
Wait. Yeah. Before you guys continue to go, welcome Terry Clark to the show. So while you guys are talking, I also, because I don't want to go into, because it's kind of tied into what you guys were talking about. So can you guys kind of talk about the support that you have of the community and where you're doing?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Who started?
Either one.
Somebody else. All right, I guess I'll lead into it. So it's like half and half as far as I go, because like I'm calling out the full truth. I feel like the individuals who have the loudest voice in the room pertaining to our reparations commission are not for the broader community. I feel like they have their own initiatives, their own agendas, and their own goals, and that's what they're trying to fuel. And and I call that out explicitly. So that kind of angers some of the more conservative, especially the old guard, so to speak, when you talk about the affluent circles and all of that. It angers them that I call out people that's in their circle, but I have to, like, because I refuse to be 60 years old and not feel like I went for everything because some of my people, some black people, did not want to do positive racial discrimination, did not want to hand out direct cash payments, and telling the community that it's not possible when it is. It's happening in other cities. The law backs it up. I mean, federal law backs up positive racial discrimination. When you got negative racial discrimination, you can use positive discrimination to address said discrimination. Yes,
Can I ask you a question? You mentioned this when I talked to you on the phone. For those who may not understand positive racial discrimination, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, excuse me. Let me break that up a little. So, positive racial discrimination is when something benefits one race specifically. Kind of like when white people way back in 1865, they had to release their slaves and everything. How they got paid for every slave. I want to say about around $900 a slave in that era's time. That is positive. That was positive racial discrimination. Also reparations, if you ask me. But a specific class, a specific race of people receives a benefit that other races may not receive. Negative discrimination is something, in the opposite direction, such as, block busting, predatory lending, urban renewal. There are other things as well that are more explicit, such as segregation. And the most explicit of all was slavery. Like that was negative negative discrimination to the exponential letter.
And let me cut in on you, bro. Another example, a more modern example of the positive is Japanese internment, right? Like you literally have something that happened in my grandparents' lifetime, and I might be the youngin' on the call at 26, but we know a little bit of history.
Amazing. Okay.
A little bit of history. But ultimately, though, you have these examples of very modern payments for things that were inherently race-based and negative. So for people to say that it's impossible for reparations to be paid, or who exactly do we pay them to, ultimately, that's a question that we have to answer. But it doesn't mean that we're precluded from ever paying reparations. It just means we have to put in the work to find out who is owed.
Yeah. Let me add before David going. Rob was talking about the older guard like me. I'm 59. And see, that's what turned me away, because a lot of people my age, like 59, 60, they didn't have my back during the marches. I seen the younger people out there, under 40, just like wilding out.
I do have a quick disclaimer, because I don't want all of them. There's a lot of elders that support me. Like, let me get that out there right now. I got way more elders that support me than are against me. I promise you.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna put their names out there.
But he's right. There were people who, like he said, who just didn't want to get with the program, and they used to look at me like, I had to tell them I was older. I think I was 56 at the time, and they didn't think I was. I said, dude, I'm 56. I said, I was born in the 60s. I said, I'm one of the very early Gen X kids. I said, I remember a lot of that stuff. I said, my mother used to tell me that stuff. I said, I remember the stuff going on in the street, even though I might have been 3 or 4 years old. I said, so I'm fighting for the stuff my mom's them couldn't finish. Yeah, but I said, the only thing different now is just a different year, but it's the same stuff. Period.
Jobs and justice has been the rallying call for the better part of 120 years.
Yeah.
I got one more question.
Oh yeah,
because I know many people are asking. That goes on.
And I'm gonna stop interrupting too, because this is their platform.
No, it's okay. Because it's the question.
And we still got Terry down there too,
so David, and then I'm gonna see what Terry wants to add if he wants to say anything. But David, so when it comes to community support, because most people will just go from a physical aspect of looking at you and seeing like how does the community receive you and support you while you're helping fight for these things.
Yeah, the challenge for me, and I would say that I feel like my lane, my calling really is how to talk to people that look like me about why this is our fight. Why we have to care about this, why we need to be in solidarity. I'm really glad that those folks, had your back when they did, Bosco. I think the thing that worries me is that that was a moment, right? And then people sort of trickle back into whatever else they were doing, and it's years later. It's not an exciting moment anymore. It's not the issue of the week. So where are they? And so that I think is where and the support. I think there's in Asheville is a liberal city. So we have which doesn't mean that we don't have some pretty reactionary folks around here, but most people are going to do a little bit of the talk and the talk. They're going to be like, oh yeah, no, for sure, that's a good thing, but the question is it going to be something that they care passionately about? And part of the challenge for white people too, when it comes to reparations, is that I think, we have to recognize that it's our job, I think, to talk to people about it, talk to other white people, to, have this be a conversation about the importance of support. But, it's hard for people that look like me. It's hard for me not to want to get in there and be like, well, wait, maybe y'all should do this. And what about that? There's a meddling kind of thing that you have to really try to guard against, because this is not something that white people should design, right? It has to be, has to be entirely black led. Our reparations commission is entirely black. As Rob points out, that doesn't mean that there aren't complications, but clearly that's who needs to have this conversation about what reparations looks like. And so you need to get the white people to kind of be, like they were with Bosco. They need to be visible, but not necessarily trying to get in the way of the process, so that we have the backs of folks like Rob that are, on the front line, so to speak. So that's the work, trying to keep people ready, paying attention, but not getting in the way.
Right on.
Awesome. Thank you. Terry, would you like to add anything? I mean, you came in, you got quiet. I see you mulling it over.
I see them hands like that. That's that OG. Yeah.
Can I explain to who Terry? Let me give Terry a proper intro, if I can. Right. So, I know Terry from my previous employer. I mean, not previous, my current employer. I'm sorry. It's previous to him because he left me. However, Terry was one of the first people and one of the greatest counselors to work with not only homeless people, but people living with substance use issues and mental illness. So he kind of helped navigate and educate me and help me navigate through my clients. He was like my go-to person for assistance. Like, he changed lives, and he is greatly missed. He's very powerful. His presence alone, he will do anything for anybody. He was one of the best people I've come encounter with, that I've met throughout my journey in healthcare. And I think he's made me better at what I do, especially since meeting him, because I still use his resources. So welcome, Terry. So I'm quite sure, his journey and his experience can also add something to the conversation, because he's very active in helping people in the communities of, like what you guys are talking about. Welcome, Terry, to the show.
Hey.
Thank you. That was very great of you to introduce me that great. I'm not that great, fellas.
Hey.
Accept your flowers, my brother.
Okay, I'm going to accept
it. You got to get them.
I'm really listening. I was just listening to you guys and just seeing how you're really helping in the community. One of the things that I'm working on right now is with the youth in the communities, trying to do something with the young people and I'm targeting young people that's in the hood that I don't want to say are bad kids, because they're not. No such thing as bad kids, but mischievous kids that their parents are not even active in their life, and they're selling drugs. Actually, one of the kids got killed, and I'm trying to really help them understand what's going on. But what's really amazing to hear you guys talking. I'm looking at this guy up in my right hand corner, all the way up top. He looks kind of young, and to hear a young guy that's so powerful, man, that's what made me do like this, because I'm like, wow, that's amazing the young people fighting for a cause and really getting involved. And we need more of that. We need more young people. I'm an older guy. I'm from the late 50s, 60s.
Okay.
Well, early 50s. and I have been as a youngster. I was involved in a couple of things in the civil rights movement. I was one of the people that started the first African American club in high school back in the 60s. I was also in the riot that was involved in Eastern High School when the police attacked these young ladies and was beating them, and we got involved. And I was kind of expelled from school at that point, But to see you guys really talking, and no offense to the white guy, but to see a white guy that's really trying to be involved, man, it's like, wow. Well, I'm from the Malcolm X area, the Martin Luther King area, and I remember Malcolm saying one time that when he was approached by these two white students, wanted to get involved, and he said, that they couldn't get involved because they had to separate, because we need to work on our own. But I think it's a people's thing now. It's no longer a black-white thing. It's for the people, and we got to band together. It's a social and economic problem. It's a classical problem, more so than a racial problem. And so we really need people like you guys to step forward and really, really, really help. I want to get involved in some of the things that you're doing. So I'm going to be on the, I really want, if you would, give Chanel a number that I can reach some of you guys, at some point, and talk with you.
So let me clarify one thing. Keep in mind, they're not here in Baltimore. So I think this is great because we're touching different communities in different states. So we have Illinois, we have Asheville, North Carolina, and then we got Baltimore. Then we got, I'm sorry, let me fix my Baltimore. We have Baltimore, Maryland.
Let's say Baltimore.
Then we got New York, dead ass, up in the corner. So
I live in Asheville now.
I think the most powerful message right now, which is great, even if you guys could engage and maybe spread it, and it can go even further and gain more support, which is great. So y'all go ahead and finish the conversation when y'all want to go to the next.
I just want to.
That's even better that it spread it out, so it doesn't have to. I don't have to know them because they don't live in Baltimore. I would love. I might even come to where they at to help support what they're doing. So,
sorry, Mr.
And we appreciate, and I put it to you this way.
Hold on, MJ. Wait a minute. Hold on, because Mr.
And MJ's the youngest one on the panel.
Yeah, Mr. Clark, I was just letting you know. Don't.
I'm clowning, bro.
So no, because Mr. Clark will come over here and try me. That's how he used to come in my office. I know you can. I know you can talk to them. I'm gonna make sure you hear that information. Don't do me. Don't do So, do you guys want me to go to the next question, or did you want to finish up what you guys were talking about?
I did want to elaborate a little bit more. I'm sorry, bro.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
while I got it, I just want to get in and say I appreciate Mr. Clark for being here, because I know I have some great elders that I absolutely adore. They mentor me, but then I also have some elders who told me that I was sipping Similac when they was doing this work, and what am I doing in this movement? So it's like, it's extremes. It's extremes, and try not to get caught up in extremes. But I appreciate elders like Mr. Clark for jumping on and showing some support and giving encouragement.
Oh yeah.
And I was it's weird, like minds, great minds think alike. I was gonna say pretty much along the same lines. Like, I appreciate my elders that are behind me, like you, Mr. Clark. Like, I have elders that are pushing me forward, elders that are teaching me the history of this place here that is not publicized, so that I can go out and speak on it. You know what I mean? Then there are the elders. It's like, respect your elders, shut up. And who where you come from, and don't want to give me voice because I'm calling things out that they rather keep hidden, and I'm disrupting. I'm disrupting the normal flow of things. You have certain tokenized individuals that are looked upon to continuously represent the Black community, and a lot of these individuals get complacent. And right now I'm calling it all out. I'm calling it out by name. Yes, because it's got to change, at least pertaining to reparations. when it comes to that, like I'm calling it out by name, and I'm coming with my evidence. I'm coming with the facts. It's usually recorded in meetings. So yeah, that's. But I appreciate you, Mr. Clark, and all the elders like you that have supported me and are currently supporting me, because it's a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's it for that question.
Oh,
that's not Ken.
Hey, look, we're not used to having this many people on the panel. So this we usually have 2 or 3 people. So
I think the last one was when we did the cast of the play.
That's the last one.
They kind of just kept it flowing. So just kind of get in where you fit in, and when you guys are done, I'll just kind of keep it rolling and keep it going. So the next one, you kind of touched on it already, but I guess we can elaborate. Like, what are some of the issues that you would like to bring light to? And I already know, because Steve Rob was going to get passionate. I thought he was going to give me what he gave me over the phone. So I hope you get into it now. And you can
see when I do the public speaking, I done got used to not cursing. So here I am edited, bro. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to throw the cursing in with the passion now. It's a weird twist of events. But yeah, so
man.
So I'm gonna go into it, man. What I'm running into is, they have really set our commission up and kind of selected a lot of the commissioners. And individuals have different agendas on the commission, and some of these individuals have the loudest voices. And they are individuals that I pointed out in my Facebook post. Miss Joyce Harrison, for one, she up there defending the city on why we should not be doing positive racial discrimination. You know what I mean? Then you got Miss D. Williams, who has a long history in Asheville for doing a whole lot of things to pretty much pad her pockets and benefit herself while also negatively impacting the community. And then you got others. You got, Brenda Mills. I named her just in several meetings, just pretty much extreme internalized oppression, where she is blaming Black people for the situation that we're in. And yeah, I could go on the list, but these were the main issues. Brenda Mills is gone. I'm happy she retired. Is what it is. And I know that me myself personally, I am speaking for myself. You know what I mean? These are the individuals and that are really causing a lot of complications when it comes to implementing positive racial discrimination and actually doing things like direct cash payments. Me and Miss Bobette Mays disagreed on a few things. One of the things, I don't mind. I think it's a good thing that each neighborhood association is getting $250,000 a piece. But don't forget about the people who I was in the streets for, which is the disenfranchised public housing community. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at all these recommendations, all this money being divided up, and ain't nobody speaking on them. You know what I mean? And it's so frustrating. I go in these meetings, IFA meetings, reparations meetings. I'm like, y'all are leaving out a whole segment of the community. You ain't here worried about your own personal agendas, own personal issues. That's good. Get that. You know what I'm saying? But what about them? Ain't nobody in here representing them. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody, and it's just so frustrating to try to get these individuals to implement things to benefit them when these individuals need to be at the table to represent themselves. So I harped on community engagement since the creation of it, and that's a twofold reasoning. One, to involve them so that they can help create the recommendations that should be benefiting them. And secondly, ain't nobody thinking about chess. When these recommendations get created and they go in front of the council and you ain't got the community behind you, what type of motivation or leverage do you have to get council members to then implement said recommendations? They're going to pick through them and they're going to throw away the big pieces and they're going to go for the low hanging fruit. And that's what happens when you don't have community involvement. You don't have the ability to organize the community rapidly because the community has not been informed of even what's going on. And this is a continual repeated process in the Black community here, where these decisions are made behind the scenes, behind closed doors, and I'm in these spaces. Me and MJ talk all the time. It's the same thing we're here. It's the same group. It's the same group of affluent Black people that's been making the decisions that's holding us back, and they don't like me calling it out. And I challenge any of these individuals to publicly debate me. That's what I welcome, because I will tear them apart, whether you want to talk about what's legal, whether you want to talk about what they've been saying behind these doors when it comes to involving the community, when it comes to actually organizing the community, and when it comes to creating recommendations that benefit the most marginalized, disenfranchised portion of the community, which are the ones who live on subsidized housing. And I'm just, you know what I'm saying? At this point, it's like I'm going for broke. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna have to get me assassinated. Y'all already got me fired. I'm still here. Got a new organization. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So that's my energy. For 2024, I'm going all out. And it is what it is. If you ain't right, I'm calling you out. and I'm coming with my receipts. That's how I'm coming.
Y'all see how we do on Casual Convo? We bring nothing but the smoke.
Man, Rob, that's real.
Thank you,
I love
Rob.
that one. That was like one of the dopest deliveries we'd had on this show.
I loved it.
And while we at it,
I shouldn't have to do that.
No, you should do that. You should do that because
hear me
I
out.
done talked to these people behind the scenes, man. You know, it shouldn't have to go to this. We all black.
Rob, you need to do that because people need to get. You need to put your foot in their chest. You need to go for them hearts. You're doing what you got to do because there's nobody else doing it.
Ooh, there ain't.
You have to.
Nobody.
And then not also to add, sometimes a raw delivery. I don't think it was anything wrong and nothing that you said. I feel like you were passionate and it was raw. And sometimes that passion has to be heard to be understood. Mm-hmm. So don't let nobody silence your passion. Don't let nobody silence your voice. Stand. We talked about standing 10 toes in your voice. Your voice is powerful. Let that power come out.
Yep.
That's why you have to support you. That's supporting you. I'm sorry, MJ. Would you like to go next? Or David, would you like to go next?
I don't know how to come up.
While we calling out, I definitely want to also kind of join in, man. It's you have these Black legacy organizations that have been around for better part of 60 to 80 years that haven't touched the issue of reparations in so long, and even now they're tiptoeing around the issue. I let's keep it a buck, right? You start talking to some of these organizations. And they see, a commission pop up and they're like, okay, bow down and kiss the ring. We want you to involve us in every decision that you make, and you ain't been nowhere to be found on this issue in 60 years. So it's confusing to me when I sit down as a young person, as a new kid at the table, and I'm like, all right, it's all this work to do. Mm-hmm. Advocating for the exact same things we've been advocating for the better part of the last 100 to 120 years. You see very minimal change. You see that even borne out throughout the economic data. But what exactly what are the changes that have been made in those issues? Not many at all. So what exactly are we gonna do? You see these different organizational heads who are, telling individuals that they feel disrespected because they aren't involved in the process in a way that they feel they need to be involved in the process. And so that
IMA here hollering that now. Crazy.
Listen, we open to work with anybody. But one thing that's not going to happen is we're not going to be bought and sold by nobody. We're not going to be bossed up.
Yep.
We out here strongly trying to advocate for our people, trying to make sure that we get reparations for the folks who deserve it after 400 plus years of oppression, right? I don't have time. We don't have time as a people to be able to fight over pettiness. And if you're not on board with trying to push towards the mark, please get out the way. Respectfully.
Get out the way. I don't want to do this. I really don't. Like, it took me 4 years to come to this in my advocacy. Like, Black people was messing it up since the beginning. Like, council member decisions, if they really knew where we could be at right now, I think the Black community would be just as pissed off as me, bro. We should be 20 million plus ahead. And right now I should be going against private industries to disrupt their cash flow to get money from them to go in a reparations pot that is controlled by the community. That is where we should be at right now.
Let's keep it real, Rob. Let's talk about it even more. Let's talk about
and also vote for India Pearson.
Yeah, I grew up with her. Please vote for her.
Let's keep it a buck. Let's talk D9. Let's talk legacy organizations on the national front. Let's talk about the support behind Biden. Black people, like, literally, if we were to utilize the strategic position we have as a voting bloc, bro, we could have had reparations so long ago. Weaponize the vote. Like, it doesn't take too much of conversation or like bowing down to anybody. All it takes is, I don't know who I'm voting for unless if somebody puts reparations on their platform, on their agenda. I want to make sure that it's a part of your 100-day plan. I want something tangible. And it's a conversation of tangibles in exchange for a vote. And that's one thing that irritates me when I sometimes talk to people who are older in older generations. It's this boogeyman idea that, hey, well, if we tell them that we might not vote for Biden, that means Trump is going to win. You don't have to go through with it, but the threat means something. The threat that I can go and vote for anybody else is a legitimate threat, and it can make tangibles flow from that, right? So unfortunately, we get into the idea that, hey, it's not enough for us to just go out and vote, but you have to vote. You have to hold people who are in office accountable. You have to weaponize your vote and exchange it for tangibles, because other communities have learned how to do that well. Ours has struggled with that though, which is why when you see other communities being able to legitimize money that they got from the streets, we haven't been able to do the same.
Yeah.
You know, I'll add in on that. Sorry.
Well, I may be going to the places you're going, Rob. And if I'm not, then you jump after, which is that Rob and I have also been involved with the folks that are behind earntheblackvote.net, which I encourage folks to check out. It is an effort on the national scale to make politicians earn the black vote as opposed to taking it for granted. So Democrats, are not very popular with the black voter right now. That is not the black community's problem. That is not the black community's fault. That is because they have been failed time and time again, and it's time to make them earn that vote. And this campaign is suggesting that the Republican House can obviously pass a HR 40 at long last. Like, they have that power. Seems somewhat unlikely they would have that kind of change of heart. But President Joe Biden can also institute HR 40 as an executive order. He could start that process of studying reparations. We're not going crazy here. It's just having a conversation like we're having on a national scale. They could do that right now. And if they did that, they earn a lot of black votes. So it would be smart for them to do, and it would be the right thing to do.
Yeah. And, I'll add on to that, just when we talk about electeds, period, I think us as the black community, we fail in two different areas. MJ touched on one, where it's like calling them out and holding them accountable. The other side is supporting them, like being a parachute when we expected them to commit political suicide. And we failed. And so, you got a politician that's done been burned a couple times. What type of motivation they got to keep going out there and get burned for a community that villainizes them, even though they try to do what they do? And I also wanted to address, there are people that have been calling out people, but like I know that I have a privilege and I'm in an opportunity zone, so to speak, in organizing to where I got a voice and a platform. Like my brother Paul Howell, he done went to several city council meetings calling stuff out, man. But without 20, 30 people and a whole, organized movement, which Brother Howell don't have the resources or the disposable time to do, like somebody like me who's getting paid to do that type of work, it's kind of hard, man. Like I can sit and I can study the agendas, I can study the documents and literally know them better than the city council members. This is what I'm devoting my time to, and I'm getting a paycheck for it. But you got average community members. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead, bro. You on a roll.
Okay, and so it's twofold. Like these processes were set up like this so that we wouldn't be able to access them. It's so much bureaucracy. There's so much jargon when you go into the documents, and the devil's literally in the details. Like you'll have a long document, and this fine print right here is where they're excluding a whole group of people or they're benefiting a whole group of people. And you got to be on that. Sometimes city council members be missing it. They be signing some stuff and don't realize that they screwing over their community. Now, it ain't always like that. A lot of times they make moves that, are advantageous for them. I will also say that I learned the honey and the vinegar technique from David. He's a very adept strategist. The way I was just wanting to give him the vinegar. He's like, all right, Rob, look, if you just give them the vinegar, what motivation do they have? So I'm like, all right, look, we got to give them their props. And I'll say working with David has grown me and evolved me in my advocacy. And I have to give him his props for hit, because he balances me a lot.
While we talking carrot and stick. While we talking carrot and stick, I would be remiss if I didn't go ahead and shout out two of my commission members who are like elected officials. Harper, like shout out to her, definitely doing what she has to do for our people. And State Senator Christopher Belt. Definitely want to give them a shout out, big kudos and appreciation for serving on the commission and putting the interests of the black community first.
We got a question from from the chat, from J. Bear Jackson. Okay, so what about the votes that they are not including that's coming out of black communities?
I was wondering if you could speak more.
Was that
J. Bear like for y'all he wants y'all to elaborate on it.
Okay, that means he referring to gerrymandering or specific instances. Like I'm kind of I don't really know where to go in on this.
Look, we never know what J Baby talking about.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
When he be typing in all caps. So
hey, Rob, you might have to.
I'm going to assume he's saying he's one of our great supporters, though. Shout out to him. So I guess pretty much what he's saying when you guys were talking about the votes, right? And you were mentioning voting and like the Democratic vote versus the Republican. That's when the question came. So he brought it into that. So I guess he's saying, so how do you guys talk about them not including, right, like suppressing the black votes from the black, from the, like, especially like the low income and poverty stricken communities?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you start talking about the black vote, even the votes that aren't being counted, like in most communities, the black vote is still the wedge vote, right? If Democrats consistently are counting on about 86 to 90% of the black vote, anytime you start dipping into that, you start seeing all types of articles getting spewed across, you know, social media, across mainstream media, especially against black men lately. Watch this. And they're like, hey, black men are starting to vote for Trump more. We still voted for Biden more than any other racial/ethnic group. But they started bashing black people because you start seeing individuals, okay, I'm fed up with Biden, and I'm not telling nobody how to vote, but they're fed up with Biden for reasons that are real, right? That are real to them. They don't feel like their issues are being addressed. They don't feel like their voices are being heard. And they're doing something similar as to what the Republican side were doing with the Tea Party. I can't fault you for being strategic in that way. So when you start talking about the votes that are not being included, you start talking about voter suppression, it's still a conversation about the votes that are. We can't even start talking about the votes that's not, because they're not even paying attention to the voices for the people who actively are participating and being counted.
Yep.
Yeah. But before I go, David, would you like to go, sir? Like, I don't want to take up all the space, but I got some stuff.
Oh no, we got a whole hour. We got a whole nother hour.
Oh, okay. So I can go in a little bit. So
yeah, we got a whole nother hour, dude.
So when it comes to the black vote, first of all, I feel like we as a black people don't understand the power of our vote, right? Like we don't collectivize it. I can't really think of many political action committees because that's how they buy in they politicians, man. Like from the local all the way up to the federal level, like lobbyists have some of the highest paying jobs in the country, and that's for a reason. Like this is what's controlling the flow of the resources. These laws and regulations that these politicians create behind these doors and implement upon us. That is the reason why our communities are looking in shambles, or why your roads are fixed and your community is invested in, and several other things, all the way from noise ordinances to where something is going to be built because of zoning. Like we don't understand the importance. And then I would say also, nothing much positive has really came out of these processes. They was killing us for voting and so many other things, but we also have to look at that. Why were they killing us for voting? Why is it that important to them? It is. If we could actually get politicians in there, you know what I mean, with pro-black agendas, hold them accountable to said agendas, whether it is with support or literally with dollars through a political action committee, then we can start making headway. Until we strategically start getting ourselves into politics, we're gonna keep running into the same walls. But I don't really know how to like bring that type of knowledge to somebody who was like me 10 years ago. Like you came to me 10 years ago and I'm out there selling crack on the corner. Like I'm not worried about who's in office. I'm worried about who got the cheapest prices. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it don't affect me. And they got us so oppressed and so disenfranchised that a lot of us, because of our quality of life and environment we grew up in, are literally having to commit crimes to survive. Look at the racial wealth gap. Look at all the disparities in any system, and you know that an oppressed community is diverted into creating crime to survive. And so it's it's so many different pieces to this. But I'm shut up for a while.
No, dude, we got a whole hour. Don't shut up. I just want to add something before we go to break. Rob made a point about.
I'm sorry, real quick. Ty, you coming back for the second half?
Oh, you just said about coming back? Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay. I'm asking because what Rob was just speaking on, not to cut you off, Bosco, because I know that's something like we talk about like every week. It's like we don't understand the power of our voices, our vote, our unification. But when you spoke about what you just spoke about, I really would like Mr. Clark to like kind of piggyback off of that, only from his experience, from his walk of life. you know, throughout his journey and the type of work that he does now, because he does great work. Great work.
What I was going to say, like Rob talked about putting our people in there and holding accountable. That's the thing that we don't do that we have to do. We have to hold our people accountable. Because see, we have this problem of, and I hate it, because someone's making money, we forget everything they didn't do, but they made money. It's like, oh, it don't matter. They made money. It don't matter how. It's like, you still got to hold a person accountable. It's because they made it successful. Like, and I'm gonna mention Jay-Z, and I don't know who's a Jay-Z fan. Great artist, great businessman. But I'll tell everybody, I followed Jay-Z from the days he was back in Marcy before he got famous, and he has always been known as a person who will cut, as they say, eat his own to make it. And see, that's a problem we do with our people. We will cut our own throats, but we won't hold each other accountable for it. We gotta hold ourselves accountable. Go forward. Like I said, put these guys in office and hold them accountable. We put you there, you better do your job.
You know,
don't be complacent. You better do your job.
Part of the reason why it's hard to hold them accountable is because we don't have reparations, right? Like a lot of holding somebody accountable is having the financial resources needed to be able to make sure that they answer to you. If they are answering to mega corporations and white interests, they'll never be able to listen to black interests. You know, they will never prioritize serving their community over getting reelected. You know, it's the classic diffuse versus concentrated interest. If you have diffuse interest and you don't have the resources needed to be able to like buy your lobbyists, that means you need to be knocking doors every day. You need to be in their office constantly. How many individuals can sit down and name their state rep, their state senator, their federal representation, the dog catcher? No, most people can't name those things.
Can't name them.
They name them, and that's part of the problem, because until we get serious about, okay, we don't have the financial resources, so we got to put in this blood and sweat equity. Until we get serious about that piece, all the rest of that stuff ain't gonna come.
Time out. We got to go to break, y'all. We're gonna be back in 5 minutes, y'all. We got Rob in the building. We got David in the building. We got MJ in the building. We got Mr. T in the building. We gonna make it hot for the next hour because we ain't playing here. See y'all in 5 minutes, y'all.